Good morning, Mets fans, and welcome to a Friday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. Today is Friday, December the 20th. I am Mr. Met, and this was very likely to be the last show I record this decade. Yes, today is my last day in the office until 2020, and as you guys know, I tend to record these videos when I'm driving to and or from work, and since this is my last trip into the office this year, this may well be the last video I record. So on today's show, I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of things that I've read about this week, although not a whole lot of action, not a whole lot of concrete anything, but a lot of rumor and a lot of speculation, and in particular an interview given by our friend Yoenis Cespedes. I'm going to talk about Cespedes' comments about the upcoming season. I'm going to talk about some rumors regarding a trade for a potential superstar player, and I'm going to do that on today's show. Of course, being Mr. Met, I own a Mets Santa hat, as you can see here, and I had to wear it today because we are more than likely having a pretty lax day at the office as it pertains to actual work being done. But there's some traffic problems down here, so I'm not going to go my normal route. I will go around. Anyway, so I'm here to talk about two things. One being Yoenis Cespedes, and two being trade rumors surrounding one Francisco Lindor. So let's start with Cespedes. When I last recorded a video, I think the comments that I made were regarding Cespedes and his restructured contract, right? The very team-friendly contract that he agreed to amended for his lack of performance in 2019, his inability to get on the field, his lack of let's just say forthcomingness, honesty regarding the injury that kept him off the field. And so the bottom line there, of course, is that the Mets are going to pay Cespedes a significantly smaller amount of money than they were due to pay him, and there are incentives in his newly restructured deal that would have him get paid a lot more if he performs well. So if that wasn't motivation enough for Cespedes, this is of course the last year of his contract, which means this will be a walk year, which means if he wants to keep playing the game and get paid at the level that he's been paid over the last few seasons, he's going to have to put up some significant numbers and stay on the field. So I think we're going to see a very motivated Yoenis Cespedes on the field for the Mets this season. I also think that he's not kidding around when he told Eduardo Perez, potential Mets manager candidate, Eduardo Perez, yesterday, that he feels like he's going to hit 52 home runs this season. And I've made no bones about it. I've always been a huge Cespedes fan. Like, I love Cespedes. I think he is a joy to watch on the baseball field. He's a fun player. The way he does that little underarm toss from the outfield, he's just a fun player, and he's a fun guy to root for, and he's been phenomenal for the Mets when he's been on the field. This will be, if he's able to get back on the field this year, this will be the first season that he's been healthy since 2016. And I mean, that's 4 seasons ago, really. I mean, he had flashes in 2017, of course. He had a couple of plate appearances in 2018. One of them against the Yankees, of course, when he hit that home run coming back, and then he missed the rest of the season. But the 52 home run thing, for me, is not out of the realm of possibilities. We have seen what he's able to do when he's healthy. And let's also remember the fact that when he was healthy, 2015, 2016 with the Mets, in my opinion, the lineup around him was not as strong as it is potentially right now. Because you've not only got Michael Conforto, who was there with Cespedes in 15 and 16, but you've also got Pete Alonso coming off of the historic campaign in his rookie year. You've also got Jeff McNeil. You've also got Brandon Nimmo. So this is already, in my opinion, a pretty potent lineup. And when you add a healthy Yoenis Cespedes into that mix. I haven't even mentioned that there's still Robbie Cano on this team, who, despite injuries last year, in the second half, played pretty well. There's still Wilson Ramos on this team, who is slow as molasses, but can still hit. This is a pretty damn good team. And I didn't even mention JD Davis. This is a pretty damn good offense. And you add Cespedes to it, and man, I'm telling you, this could be one of the scariest lineups in all of baseball. This could rival some of those crazy lineups that the Yankees put out there in the 2000s, where they basically had all-stars at every position. That's the potential that this Mets lineup has with a healthy and productive and motivated Yoenis Cespedes in the middle of it. I thought the offense was going to be good without him, but with him, this is the makings of something pretty nice. And again, health is a huge factor. I mean, of course, Cespedes has to stay on the field. But the big difference between Cespedes in 2020 and Cespedes in 2018, coming into 2019 as a potential lineup presence, even before that, 2017, Cespedes was the guy. I mean, and you sort of saw you were sort of scared to say, like, man, if he's not there, what does this team have? And I don't think that's going to be the case now. I don't think as much pressure is going to be, not pressure is the wrong word. I don't think the Mets are going to need to rely on Cespedes' presence in the lineup to be able to score runs. And that's, I think, the big difference between 2020 Cespedes and previous Cespedes with regards to the Mets. And I think that's huge, because that means they can rest Cespedes twice a week. You've got enough depth on this team that he can rest, and JD Davis can play third base on a day when Cespedes is on the bench and Jeff McNeil's in left field. Jeff McNeil needs a break. Well, that's all right. Cespedes can play left. Jed Lowry can play third. Cano wants to get a rest. McNeil can play second. Lowry can play second. So again, there is a lot of depth on this team right now, and one of those pieces is freaking Yoenis Cespedes. And I did not think that we were going to see Cespedes ever play baseball again. I kind of had that suspicion that he was just done. But man, he is super motivated to show the world that he's not done. And he's going to show other teams in baseball that he deserves another contract after this season. That excites the hell out of me, to be honest. So that's pretty cool. And I hope he's doing, I hope this is, more than just talking the talk. He's got to walk the walk too. But man, I love to see that he's out there saying, yeah, I'm going to be here next year and I'm going to be as good as you remember me. And all that we can do now is wait and see. So the second part of what I wanted to discuss today is some trade rumors that have been floated around. And I mentioned Jeff McNeil in my Cespedes discussion. And I also mentioned Yoenis Cespedes, of course. He was pretty much the focus of what I've been talking about for the last 6 minutes. And interestingly, since this is sort of a slow week, there have been trade rumors running rampant all over baseball. And Francisco Lindor is one of the names that's in the center of those rumors. And the Mets are one of the teams that are, quote, linked to Lindor. I don't buy it. I really don't. Lindor's a great player. I'm not saying he's not. But if I'm the Mets, I am not trading Jeff McNeil. I'm not trading McNeil. I'm not trading Rosario either, because I'm sorry, Rosario showed a significant amount of progress in 2019, and you're going to be selling him to get a guy who, in Francisco Lindor, is what Rosario could potentially be. And to get Lindor, you're not only going to have to give up Rosario, but you're going to have to give up McNeil too, and you might have to give up a prospect. I just don't like it. I don't like the idea of it. And honestly, I don't think it's real. I think it's just beat writers writing up rumors to get clicks and for people to read their headlines and to interact with them on Twitter. I don't think this is a real situation. What I do think might be a real situation, though, is the rumors around Cespedes. Yesterday, I kind of laughed it off, but the more I thought about it as the day went on and I thought about it overnight, At $10 million, which is what Cespedes' base salary is for this year, he could be a freaking bargain for an American League team who's looking for a designated hitter. Think about that. You know, the restructured contract is great for the Mets, obviously. It gives them something of a cushion underneath the luxury tax. But it could also make him very tradable. And although he hasn't done a damn thing on the field in 3 years, 2-3 years, he's still Yoenis Cespedes. And again, there could be a fit for him with an American League team who's willing to trade prospects to the Mets to help restock the farm, to, again, lower that payroll commitment for 2020. And that's a legit possibility. I don't know who's a fit for him. I don't know the American League that well. I don't follow it that well. That closely, I mean. But it's interesting that while he's talking about coming back and playing for the Mets, there are these rumors that he might be a potential trade candidate. I personally, because I just talked about how deep the lineup is, I think you could actually trade Cespedes. I really do. I don't think you, like I said, I don't think you need him like you used to need him as the Mets. And that, of course, again, assumes Alonso does what he did last year, which is, again, going to be a very tough act to follow for Big Pete. But Alonso, McNeil, Davis, and it assumes those guys are the real deal. And if they are, you can afford to part with Yoenis Cespedes because you aren't relying on him to be that presence in the middle of the lineup to drive in runs. And depending on what the Mets could get back for him, it might actually be worth exploring. I would hate it because I have a Cespedes jersey. It's on underneath this. And I want to see him on the field again for the Mets. You know, I have that memory in my mind of Game 3 NLDS when Cespedes hit that mammoth home run and did that incredible bat flip. And I was at Citi Field for that. And the Citi Field was shaking. I mean, it was rocking like Shea. You know, it was like we were in old Shea again. And I want that back, and I just want that feeling back. And Cespedes is that special kind of player that can bring that. So I'm torn, but if the Mets were to part with Cespedes, I wouldn't hate it. Again, assuming they bring back some quality pieces. So that'll do it for today, and very likely this year, and very likely this decade. So I will probably not return with a new Drivin until after the first of the year, probably January the 2nd. Now, that being said, if something huge does surface during the Christmas and New Year's break, I certainly will be able to hop on and record something and share my thoughts. But I would kind of put that in the not likely to happen category. But if it does, I'll be back. So if I need to. So for all of you who have watched me this year and followed me this year, I thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the interaction on Twitter. I appreciate the interaction on YouTube. I enjoy doing this. I'm going to keep doing it as long as I have to drive into work every day. So keep an eye out for me on the Twitter at Mr_Met. I'll certainly still be posting on Twitter. I'll still be doing my Mets trivia that I do that so many of you like. So keep an eye out for those during the break. And that'll do it. And so everyone have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, Happy Cespedes for the rest of us, and a Merry New Year, and everything else that you may or may not be celebrating over the next 2 weeks. Until the next time we talk, thanks again for watching, and as always, let's go Mets.